I want to tell you a story. It's the story of a man who stood at the very heart of two separate atomic blasts. A man who, for all intents and purposes, saw the world end twice, and somehow lived to tell the tale.
So, let's set the scene. The date is August 6, 1945.
And then, in an instant, there's a flash of light brighter than 1,000 suns, and the city of Hiroshima is just gone, erased. But walking through all that ash, all that ruin, is a 29-year-old engineer. His name is Tsutomu Yamaguchi, and against all odds, he has survived.
Wounded, burned, he makes this almost impossible journey 180 miles south to get back to his hometown, to his family. He finally reaches Nagasaki.
He was home. He should have been safe, right? But the unimaginable, well, it was about to happen all over again. You see, Tsutomu Yamaguchi wasn't even supposed to be in Hiroshima on that day. He was an engineer working for Mitsubishi, and it was the very last day of a 3-month business trip. All he wanted, all he could think about, was getting home to his wife and their baby son.
So, he's walking to the train station, ready to leave, and he happens to look up. He sees a single B-29 bomber in the sky. He was just under 2 miles from ground zero when the bomb, the one they called Little Boy, exploded.
The force of the blast was just immense. It threw him into a ditch. For a moment, he couldn't see anything. The sound completely ruptured his left eardrum, and the heat, it seared the skin on his face and arms. But unbelievably, he was alive.
So, he spends the night in a bomb shelter with other survivors, and then somehow manages to get on a train heading for his home, Nagasaki. 3 days later, on August 9th, picture this, he's in his office, covered in bandages, trying to explain to his manager what he just witnessed. He's describing this blinding flash, the deafening roar, the giant mushroom cloud that swallowed an entire city. And his boss? Well, his boss is skeptical. He's not really buying it. And then, at that very moment,
An identical white light fills the room. The office windows just vaporize. Yamaguchi is thrown to the floor, and again, he's less than 2 miles from the epicenter. And in that daze, he could only think one thing, that the cloud, that terrible, terrible cloud, had actually followed him home.
After Japan surrendered and the war was over, Yamaguchi did what so many tried to do. He tried to piece together a normal life. He went back to work, he raised his family, and he tried to forget. The horrors he had seen, they became this private burden, a story he kept locked away deep inside. For decades, he almost never spoke of what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You have to remember, in a community of survivors, they called them the habakusha. So many people were far sicker than he appeared to be. He felt it would be almost unfair to claim a special kind of suffering. But the radiation, it had left its mark in ways that no one could see. So while Yamaguchi went back to his career, his family was paying this terrible, hidden price. His wife, who'd been out searching for him right after the Nagasaki blast, was sickened by the radioactive black rain that fell on the city. All of their children would later struggle with health issues, and his son, the one who was just a baby in 1945, he died of cancer at the age of 59.
Losing his son, that was the turning point. The silence that Yamaguchi had kept for over half a century, it just wasn't an option anymore. He realized his story wasn't his burden alone to carry. It was a message that the world absolutely needed to hear.
So at 85 years old, he began this whole new mission. He wrote a book, he started speaking to school children. He was just so determined that no other family should ever have to endure what his had. And this journey, it took him all the way to New York City, where he stood before the United Nations and pleaded for the end of all nuclear weapons.
And then, in 2009, the Japanese government finally gave his experience a name. They officially recognized him as a Nizu Hibakusha, which is Japanese for a twice-bombed person. To this day, he is the only person in history to hold that official title. The only one.
You know, in the last years of his life, Yamaguchi came to believe that his impossible survival wasn't just an accident, it was his destiny. He felt he had been chosen somehow to carry a message from the heart of the atomic age straight to the future.
And his message was, well, it was radical and deeply profound. He argued that the power to destroy the entire world should only be in the hands of those who are most intimately connected to creating and nurturing new life. It was this incredible plea for empathy in the face of annihilation.
He passed away in 2010 from stomach cancer at the age of 93. After witnessing humanity's greatest act of destruction,
Not once, but twice, he dedicated his life not to bitterness, but to trying to build a more peaceful world.
His legacy is just a testament to an incredible will to live, and maybe even more incredible, an unwavering capacity for hope.